My husband built the house.
2 businesses that failed.
Potentially new material that might have use in supersonic, hypersonic aircraft. We're making nuclear weapons here.
Ever wonder what it takes to become a millionaire? Well, in today's video, we will be going to the doors and homes of millionaires themselves, trying to unveil the secrets behind their remarkable success. If this interests you, stay tuned because in this video is value you don't want to miss. So without further ado, let's get started. I'm a little scared that they're not going to be there, and that's gonna make the whole entire video. So I've prepared a couple letters, handwritten letters, so it's a little bit more personal for me. Worst case scenario, if they're not there, then they can respond to me via email or text. All right, guys, it's the next morning. If you want to read what's on the letter, I'll throw it up to my right here. On our way to the first location, I will describe you guys more of what the plan is and what we're about to do. All right, so we're headed to the first millionaire's home right now, and hopefully he's there to answer a couple questions, couple deep questions I prepared. And if not, we have the letter with the same questions and he can respond later. We've made it to the first home. Wow. Yeah, I'm really hoping that somebody's here. Get some questions asked. Owner did not seem to be home, which is okay. We have dropped the letter, but again, I mean, it makes sense, right? Millionaires are busy. So we're headed to the second millionaire's home, and this house, well, this one's interesting, and you guys will see why. I had my buddy give me his gate code so I can be able to sneak in and talk to these people, but this house, yeah, it's pretty marvelous. All right, we are at the second location, the second millionaire's home, but we've ran into a little bit of a problem. If you take a look behind me, that home on the mountain was our next, well, millionaire's home. And it's just not in this neighborhood, which I thought it was. I was just in this neighborhood to my left. All right, guys, here we go. We are approaching another neighborhood. Oh, man. What is that? Is that it? I think this path right here goes all the way to the top. I'm not 100% sure, but who are we not to try? So let's go. This is so steep. So what is this? Oh, it's gated. I don't know if you can see that, but there's a gate right there. No. Hey, check that out behind it though. We have the Phoenix little logo there on the mountain. That's pretty cool. All right, guys, we got the letter right here. We're gonna drop it in his mailbox. His name is Russell. Russell, if you're watching this, please read my letter and send me an email or text. Let's go. All right, here we go. We're just gonna kind of speed run some homes here. Hi, are you the owner of the home, by the way? Okay, I was wondering if I could ask you a question. I know this is weird. I was wondering if you had any advice for a 19-year-old.
We actually, my husband built the house.
Really?
Saved us a lot of money.
Okay.
I save and put as much down as you can. Keep your credit high because
Credit high?
rates are crazy.
No, seriously, yeah. But appreciate that.
Yeah, of course.
All right, well,
Good luck.
yeah, thank you. Oh, it's definitely weird. Why did that feel awkward? I don't think they're home. It's the clipboard. I think it's a clipboard. Hey. I was wondering, can I speak to the owner of the home real quick? Just they're not here. You're babysitting? Oh, that's dope.
Sorry.
No, you're good, you're good. Is this what door-to-door sales feel like? Getting rejected left and right? I just want one. Just one, please. Hey, man, I'm good, yeah.
Oh, okay, sorry. I thought you
What happened? Sneaky little bitch, too. There's my license. It's tough out here, bro. I don't even know what house this is. I've gotten rejected too many times. So we're just gonna go in. Not actually physically walk into the house, but we're gonna try. Okay, not try to get, okay, never mind. Hey man, how's it going? I've been driving around looking at these beautiful homes and I was wondering if I could ask you a question.
What's the question?
You could give advice to somebody who is 19 years old. What kind of advice would you give?
Same as my kid. Going to college and working an internship right now. And you don't have to be college. You could do a trade school or something too.
Did you go to college?
Yeah, took a business administration and started anything on financing. And then bought my first house and lived in it 2 to 5 years and then kept it and bought another house and did a rental off of it. A side hustle with a boat company. Lucky with some things I did before all this shit. I bought a lot of stuff and resold it. It's different with social media now. It's harder to do, it's harder to get there, it's harder to beat everybody else to it.
And then I got one last question. What was your biggest fail or struggle?
Did 2 businesses that failed. Lost my ass on it. Both businesses I had partners, so I don't do any partnerships anymore. Don't finance shit. If you can't afford it, you can't buy it. Nobody's willing to sacrifice these days. All my friends were driving new cars, I was driving used cars. Driving finance toys, and I paid for my toys. Their toys were better and nicer, but they were paying 3 times the money I was for it. They all want it now. Quick, rich shit, it doesn't work unless you're ripping somebody off.
Yeah, true.
Don't own a restaurant.
Don't run a restaurant?
There's a lot of businesses in restaurant business. Who makes the equipment for it? Who sells them the equipment?
Yeah, the manufacturers.
That's me. The guy behind me, Ecolab, all the soaps and shit. When he was young, he went to work for Ecolab, learned everything about it, broke off on his own, and started his own soap company.
Oh, wow.
Nice thing about soap is you use it, it's gone. They reorder every freaking week. You got a card?
A card? I don't, yeah.
Once you carry 2 or 3 cards in your wallet, you meet somebody or someone says, hey, how can I get a hold of you or whatever. I know you click phones and all that kind of shit, but
Right.
card's professional. You
Yeah.
gotta make yourself stand out. You're way ahead of the game to talk to a stranger. Most kids can't do that.
What's your name, by the way?
Cliff.
Cliff Hayden. Nice to meet you, man.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you, bro.
Have a good one.
We got it, bro. We got it. That is a win. That is a dub. We got one homeowner to at least give us some amazing, amazing information. So that just makes my whole day after rejection and rejection. All right, guys, I just got an email back from Alan Russell. I'll pop it up on the screen here if you want to read it. But if you remember, he was the guy with the house on top of a mountain. So we're about to go meet for coffee and we'll see what he has to say. Sit right here. Thank you, Alan.
You're
Appreciate you for coming out. So I was wondering if I could ask you a couple questions.
Fire away, anything you like.
What has been your biggest failure or struggle throughout, your journey or life?
It was a research error that I used to be a professor of metallurgy at an engineering college. Had a chance to start a research relationship with the Lockheed Skunk Works. And for example, they've had a multitude of exotic projects. You might have heard of the SR-71 Blackbird aircraft. So a couple of their engineers came to our campus to see a colleague and I was able to persuade them to do an exploratory project. It would be a potentially new material that might have use in supersonic, hypersonic aircraft. It was a mixture of aluminum and titanium, but we weren't blending them together. So they weren't going to be mixed like salt and water.
Right.
They were going to be separate phases, one phase aluminum, one phase titanium. So we would then deform it drastically without actually reducing its size. And so I thought, this is going to be great. Lockheed's going to love this material. We'll have $1 million contracts. Dreams and reality don't always converge. And the reason this project failed was completely my fault, which is kind of a painful thing to say. I carefully specified this titanium has to be low oxygen, and that is the usual impurity that causes this problem. But I knew that nitrogen and carbon can also cause this problem. We're talking about tens of thousands of dollars spent making the samples, but they weren't behaving at all, failing completely to do what we had expected. The impurity level of oxygen was indeed good, but the nitrogen impurity level was quite high. The nitrogen turned out to be the villain. I said, well, it's my fault, and I know I've just wasted $30,000 of your money over this mistake and 2 months of your time. I said, but if you could just extend this contract another $20,000, we can do it again right. Lockheed declined to do that.
No.
You don't often get 2 bites at the apple, as the old cliche goes.
I guess we could hop into the second question there. Would you consider yourself at a situation where you're happy with financial success?
I don't really live a lavish lifestyle. I'm pretty content with playing tennis and going kayaking.
My next question is, if you could offer advice to a 19-year-old, what would you tell him?
I had this sense that I had to get everything perfect to succeed. That all you have to do is be good enough to make a positive difference. It doesn't have to be perfect. You don't have to learn everything. You don't have to solve all problems. Guys like Bill Gates, if you look quickly at his bio, you'd say, 1 year of college, and then he dropped out. But then if you look deeper at it, he came from a wealthy family. He could afford to drop out of college. He didn't have to worry about buying groceries while he started this business.
I know.
So he had some real advantages. Most people don't have that good luck.
Really?
I was just born in the United States. That helps hugely. If I'd been born in Sri Lanka or something, it might not have gone so well. My first job was a really interesting one, and the job I got was at Los Alamos, New Mexico, working on plutonium, which is without a doubt the world's most interesting metal. It's a really complicated, bizarre element. We were trying to cool plutonium alloys at 1,000,000 degrees per second. So you go from liquid to room temperature in 1/1000th of a second. But then you step back and say, who's paying for this research? It's the Department of Defense. Why are they funding us? Because they want to make better atomic bombs. And at the end of the day, you just hope to God nobody ever uses what you're building. We're making nuclear weapons here. We make them better and more destructive. Is this the legacy I want on my tombstone? Like, he made bombs that killed more people.
Last question would be, do you regret anything?
I have one regret from my personal life. I actually had two sons, the one I've just talked about briefly,
The older.
Jeff, and then there's a younger son who was named Mark, and he's no longer living. And he had a terrible battle with alcoholism all through his 20s. He got himself off the alcohol. He got a job. We're all thinking, you know, me and my son and my daughter, so much better than where he was a year ago at this time. But actually, while he was working, he was taking a legal but questionable drug called Krata. He died mysteriously in his sleep alone. I don't feel like it was my fault in the sense that I caused his death, but I might have been able to prevent it.
Thank you for sharing that.
I was a little reckless with safety as a young man, mountain climbing.
Oh, really?
I had a bad avalanche once. I was climbing with a girlfriend in Colorado, and we were going to climb the north face of Longs Peak, and she didn't feel well. I think it was just the altitude. You know, we camped that night at 12,500 feet. We started out together for the summit, and she said, if you want to go on alone, fine, but I'm going back to the tent. So I said, well, okay, it's 500 feet to the top from here. I'll be okay.
Yeah.
Well, I went across a snowfield, kind of uphill at an angle, and halfway across, I saw this huge arc form right above me with a kind of a whoomp sound. I'm standing on a snow sled, and the sled and I are going downhill. This route is not terribly steep, but right beside it is the vertical face of Longs Peak. It's not only vertical, it overhangs slightly. And it's 2,000 vertical feet till you hit the bottom. And I went down, you try to arrest with your ice axe, but the snow is moving, you know, there's nothing to arrest on. And my goggles immediately filled with snow. I couldn't see a thing, and I'm just tumbling, bang, bang, bang. I fell for about 600 vertical feet down what's essentially like the angle of a steep staircase. Kind of came to rest with a lot of snow coming with me. And every time I would exhale, I was spraying blood all over the snow. Oh no, I've broken a rib and it's punctured a lung. Well, turned out it's a nosebleed. I did have a helmet on, and it had sort of a crack that went from here up to the top.
Oh my
And I
God.
thought, man, it's good I had this helmet on. My girlfriend was down at the tent, and she had been looking up at me periodically, and then she saw this disturbed patch. So she started walking up, intersected me as I was kind of stumbling down, and she said, I'm gonna go out in snowshoes as fast as I can and get a Ranger, because we had no cell phones in those days. I mean, this was 1976. She went 8 miles out in about 2.5 hours. And then they came in with a helicopter. I did break my tailbone.
Okay.
It was about 6 to 8 weeks till I felt like playing golf again. Well, sometime we'll have to invite you up to the house and you can look through the telescope with me.
It's been a pleasure meeting you.
Yeah, good luck to you. We'll probably see each other again, I hope.
All right, guys, I like to keep this YouTube channel as positive as possible for you guys. And over the last couple weeks, me and Alan have become very good friends. He wanted me to come up to the house to have dinner with him and his girlfriend and check out his telescope. However, I got an email a couple days ago saying that he was diagnosed with breast cancer. Now, breast cancer is rare in males, but this is shocking news to me, and I don't even know how to feel. If you would comment down below, get well soon, Alan. He is going through surgery at the moment, and I know it would mean the world to him. I will be updating the description down below on the welfare of Alan over the next couple weeks. It is just a gentle reminder that life is short, and you guys should be living it to your fullest because anything can happen. I love each and every one of you, and I will see you in the next video.